Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. My name is Reed. Along with me, as always, is Mike. It is our sixth episode of our weekly What is in the Stack episodes. What we're going to do today, we're going to talk a little bit about a trending topic, and then me and Mike will also walk through our respective stacks of comic books. Mike, you are rocking the Superman merchandise, which goes into our topic today. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how many of you would love to know what's in the two stacks of comics behind me? And I would say to you, I would love to know what's in those stacks too, because at this point, I forgot what's in that stack or
I'm
the other
guessing
stack.
mostly Flash, but
Probably,
you've got
probably that's a good
Yeah,
guess.
pretty good guess there. So you got your Superman stuff. You got him in the background. I don't have any Superman merch really, but I got Tom Brady, which even though I'm not a huge Tom Brady guy, he's like the closest thing to American Superman with all those rings. But what we wanted to do, we wanted to talk a little bit about the Superman trailer that just came out. Now we're not going to do the standard trailer reaction where Mike and I lie and act like it's the first time we've ever seen it and do these fake shocked things and either
Right.
shill for it and fake cry or get mad at every frame. We're just going to talk a little bit about our thoughts because this is probably the most important trailer for us as DC fans. Really, I mean, probably a decade plus since Batman versus Superman, really. Because once Batman versus Superman came out, you knew the trailer and how that was received and how that wasn't good. And while there's been movies like the Batman and stuff, you kind of knew that overall universe was dead once that reaction to this was. This seems to be the last ditch effort for DC. This is James Gunn's start to this. I know there's been that Creature Commando show, but we're going to kind of, me and Mike have somewhat been watching that. We're not really, it's a cartoon. We're just not going to get as invested. This is the big budget one. This is the stamp. This will be the one that makes or breaks all of this. And so we wanted to give our thoughts on the trailer, get your guys' below as well. Mike, I will kick it to you first. You've seen the trailer. I know me and you don't do the whole like slow 0.25 speed and break it down and all this stuff. What were your thoughts on this new Superman trailer from what you saw?
I think the trailer overall was done really, really well. I love the cinematography in it. I will go over all the things that I like. The snippet of the costume I thought was cool that with the battle damage in that one scene. I was like, yeah, he's been dusted up a little bit. He must be. I love the cinematography of the Daily Planet and him kind of like rushing into his desk and Lois turning around. I don't know who the actress is that's playing Lois, but I think she's going to play a great Lois. I like the way it teased out a little bit of the story and set the elements for it. So overall, I think it was really well crafted. Um, I really enjoyed seeing Crypto, although I didn't imagine Crypto being that breed of dog. I'm not sure what breed of dog that was, but Crypto, I
Yeah.
think, was a different breed of dog, or as he was drawn in the 50s. I thought that was a really cool element because I like Crypto as a character.
Okay.
Um, but I know when I was watching it with my wife, she cringed. She was like,
Yeah.
"What is that dog doing there?" I was like, I made her watch it with me. I said, I need someone who's not a comic book person to give me your perspective on it. That threw her way off. And she's like, but it's not Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder. And I'm like, no, unfortunately, it's not.
Fortunately not. Yeah. They'd be a little
She's
difficult
like,
to get for this.
she was like, no, it's got to be Margot Kidder. But that's a little bit of, the age generation kind of response to it. But I think this, where James Gunn is going with it and adding Crypto is more of like a kid friendly
Yeah.
uh, thing in there is really important. Although some of the hardcore emo Superman fans who love a good emo
Your
Superman,
Snyderverse Superman
slightly
fans. Yeah.
slightly villainous Superman, or villain.
Injustice Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, they might be disappointed that they're going to bring back the Big Blue Boy Scout and put him up on the big screen again. But I'm kind of liking it.
I don't know that I've had a movie trailer where I was more conflicted on. I loved 50% of what I saw, and then the other 50%, I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. And
I
that,
don't know about the Lex Luthor, whoever's playing Lex.
He did look a
Uh,
little young for Lex. I've always imagined Lex being a little older. I will say,
yeah,
but I like that Lex was bald and running his own company, not like some of the movies have done, where he's like a failed real estate magnate scamming old women out of their money and stuff. So I mean, I guess if Lex is actually a powerful, influential figure as he should be, that could really work. There's a couple things that make me mad about the movie, and there's a couple that I really like. One, I like you. I think Crypto showing up, while it's not my favorite thing, there was two things I did like about that. One is it seems to be a very clear statement from DC. We're embracing the comic books. This is not the Snyderverse where we're going to have Batman kill because in Snyder's opinion, Batman should kill. It's like, no, we are embracing what the comic books are. And I think, like you touched on, the Daily Planet, I loved that it was a colorful trailer. It looked like a comic book. I think that's one thing. DC Comics for me is interesting in that, like, why I've always liked DC more than Marvel. I love the distinct worlds that DC has. A Batman trailer should be dark and grim and serious. Have that, but that should not be Superman's world. Superman's world should be bright and somewhat futuristic looking, and yet kind of
hopeful.
retro at the same time. And that had all of this. It was bright, bombastic, colorful, hopeful, inspirational. Had all that kind of stuff in there. And I think Crypto to me represents that, like, nah, man, we're done with this whole deconstruction of Superman. This is who the character is. He's got a super dog. Why? Because it's in the comics. Now, that could backfire. And I certainly can understand your wife's reaction because it was kind of my wife's reaction as well of like, there's a dog. Like, that's. But what I will say also helped is my little 2-year-old, he watches, sometimes we put TV on, unless it's animated, he doesn't really pay attention. But as soon as he saw Crypto, he started staring at the screen. He's like, "Oh," and he loved it. And he was there because I think he saw that Legion of Super Pets movie a couple years ago, and he got all
Yes.
excited. And so I think you and I have always talked about how comic books look, as adults, we've kind of gotten away from what they should be. Comic books should be something that we still enjoy because we accept it for what it is and just let ourselves take a mental break, but it should still be written for kids. And that focus has largely been lost. And so I am not going to begrudge DC and James Gunn from going, hey, you know what? Let's throw Crypto in because maybe kids will like him. Especially because it's not even something ridiculous like the Ewoks in Star Wars, where it's like, what the heck is this? It's just
Yeah.
stupid and like intentionally done for marketing towards kids. This is something that's comic book accurate to Superman and seems to be embracing it. And so, as long
Yes.
as we don't have the final fight scene being Crypto and Superman both using laser vision to
Uh,
fight the villain, I'll be okay with Crypto having a couple appearances here and there in the film. I think the
yes.
parts that concern me, the suit looked kind of cheap, in my opinion. I liked the battle damage part, but what's
Yeah.
interesting is I swear the Superman and Lois TV show had a better Superman suit. Henry Cavill's looked great. I just, it was a weird looking suit. And maybe it will look better on film. Maybe it's something that's hard to grasp in the trailers. But my wife was laughing at it and being, it's like, she was like, this is the what you expected when you ordered picture as Cavill, and then what you got when it arrives in the mail is this one kind of thing. And that is a little bit of what it was, and it just something about the suit just didn't look 100% right. And again, maybe they'll polish it up. There's 7 months before the film comes out. It's nothing about the actor or anything. Just the suit itself looked a little cheapish. Where I'm like, I swear I've seen the CW make better looking suits than that. I think the other part that concerns me, and probably the part that concerns me most overall, because I can get past the suit. If the suit is his mom made it for him, and that's why it looks that way, you could in universe explain that. I don't know about the presence of all the other superheroes in the film. Having Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner all show up. Are those characters in the movie because it helps Superman's story? Or are those characters in the movie because James Gunn likes to tell stories about misfit superheroes like the Guardians of the Galaxy? And those were the ones that he thought he could throw in. That's the part that I worry in that, like, the DCEU did the same dang thing where it was like, let's throw needless cameos in to catch up with Marvel. I just don't know from a Superman movie standpoint. Do we need Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl and Metamorpho and especially like those characters? Because those are deep cut characters that I just don't know what they're going to add to the story for it. And it just seems a little different. What are your thoughts on seeing so many characters show up from the DC universe?
That caught me off guard because you and I always talked about what really needs to happen is you need to make a one character, one movie
Mhm.
and nail that down And then if that works, then in the next movie you could tease out some more characters maybe. So we've been down that road before where you throw too many characters in and it waters down the storyline. But I don't know who wrote the script, but
It's all James Gunn. It's all
it's
him.
all James Gunn.
Yep.
It's probably going to be all right. And who doesn't want to see a hot girl fly in from above? you know,
Yeah.
and Guy Gardner. I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Well,
But
I
it
guess it's
does.
all going to depend on execution. I will just say that was the worrisome portion I saw of this, especially because, if it had been someone who was more intrinsically tied to Superman, if Steel was in the trailer, I'd look and go,
Yeah.
okay, that's a Superman story, Steel being there. I got you. Right. If you had done someone, Martian Manhunter, or a more classic
Oh,
Justice League
yeah.
character who ties into a little more Superman stories, I'd probably get there. Guy Gardner, to me, it kind of seems like is in the movie because James Gunn's buddies with Nathan Fillion, and that's a character that Nathan Fillion could play. Right. Metamorpho kind of seems like, well, that's a character James Gunn would relate to based on his Guardians of the Galaxy experience. And so that's why Metamorpho's in the movie. And so maybe he's got a story element reason for all of them. It seems
Oh,
like
I'm
in
sure
this
he does.
universe, yeah,
I'm
it seems
sure he
like in this
does.
universe, superheroes are just supposed to be a thing. Like Superman showing up is not going to be like Man of Steel, where it's like the world was normal and then this flying dude came in. And so I think it will be there. I think lastly, the part that does make me mad about this movie a little bit. James Gunn's reboot of DC to me is off to a bad start already. And part of why I say that is he started it with this ridiculous Creature Commando show. And I don't think that'll impact the box office on this, except for we know that Rick Flag from that TV show is carrying over into this movie. So the guy who's voicing him in the film, on the cartoon, is going to be in the movie and will be the same actor. So technically that's canon. But then you watch the Creature Commandos thing, and it's referencing Peacemaker, and it's referencing the Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn made. And it's like, okay, so why are you dragging any of this stuff in? Because what makes me mad about some of what DC's doing, just reboot. Just get rid of everything else. I think that's the part that does make me somewhat mad and this goes personally for me because I like the actor. Henry Cavill for years in interviews said, I want to make a bright, hopeful Superman film. And he was not allowed to do that by Warner Brothers. They dragged him into their dark, tortured alien space Jesus, Zack Snyder Superman movies where he couldn't smile, didn't save people. And largely, it seems like we fired Henry Cavill to make the movie Henry Cavill really wanted to make, and we didn't even do a full reboot because we're still embracing Peacemaker and we're still embracing the Suicide Squad, which still was tied to that DC universe where Amanda Waller is voiced by the same. It seems like a mess. And again, this seems like something where I just wish James Gunn had been able to separate. Look, the Suicide Squad movie I did, that was cool. It was fun. I like those actors. It's done. Right. Peacemaker, it was cool. It was fun. It's done. Instead, it seems like we're still, even in this reboot, trying to drag a few threads of the DC universe. And it's like, look, if you're going to fire Gal Gadot and you're going to fire Henry Cavill and you're going to fire Jason Momoa and you're going to fire everyone that's in that universe, that's fine because that
But you're
universe
going to
failed.
carry Peacemaker through?
But why are we keeping John Cena and Viola Davis? Like that's the part that makes me mad is we're not even if you told me, hey, look, we're rebooting, but we're keeping Gal Gadot because everyone loved her as Wonder Woman. I got you. But when it's like, no, we're very specifically firing Henry Cavill, but we're gonna make the movie he was saying he wanted to make, and we're gonna keep some of it's just restart. Just
Yeah.
flush it all away. And I think that's
I
the part
thought
that
that's,
worries me about this is that sort of stuff.
I really thought that's where they were going. I think this was, and I didn't pay attention to any of the press about what was going on. I just, put my hopes in that Gunn would reset everything because that's kind of what we all expected. We knew it needed to be done.
Yeah.
And we're even willing to bite the bullet very begrudgingly about Gal and Henry Cavill not being able to go forward. I'm like, I get it. That universe failed, so let's get
You
all
got
the
to restart. Yeah.
yeah. So okay. I mean, but if they're really gonna do a Galaxy of the Guardians of the
If they do, yeah,
Galaxy
that's the
thing
whole thing that
with
worries me
John
is
Cena and the Superman cast, and instead of Rocket Raccoon, you're gonna have Crypto in there. I'm like,
yeah,
that's gonna
it
be.
doesn't. I
Mm-mm.
just even this is where DC drives me crazy, and I guess this is less about this movie and more about the overall state of DC. Flash, as disastrous as that movie was, the one thing they should have used the Flash movie to do is Flashpoint. In terms of we've reset the universe, they
Yeah,
couldn't even do that. They couldn't even do that. They still put a Jason
and
Momoa
that was a
after credit scene
layup.
in there,
That was a total layup.
and it was just it's one of the things where I'm like, look, and again, there's parts of this trailer I loved. I love the part where Superman saves the little kid and he's diving in front. That's Superman, right? The little kid in the middle of the war zone holding up the Superman flag, calling out that's Superman. And I love that
Yeah.
James Gunn seems to get that in a way that Zack Snyder absolutely did not.
Mm-mm.
I just, if you were gonna reboot, man, you gotta bury everything. You can't carry over Peacemaker and your Suicide Squad, especially because neither one of those things made a huge cultural impact, right? If the Suicide Squad movie that came out was as successful as Guardians of the Galaxy and little kids were running around with King Shark figures the way they are Groot and Rocket Raccoon, I'd go, I get why you're keeping it. Right.
Yeah.
If Peacemaker was as successful as like Iron Man, where people were just loving it, and Peacemaker had become this like iconic character, he wasn't. It was a mildly successful streaming show on a third tier streaming service, right? This is not enough stuff that we should be carrying any of that,
Yeah.
especially because they're referencing it directly in this
And,
Creature Commandos thing. You're going to have characters in Creature Commandos who are in Superman. It's like just reset, man. Just make a
and
Superman
it's not
movie.
like, I'm sure he's proud of that work, and he should be. I mean, the Peacemaker was a fun show to watch,
Mhm.
and I did enjoy I
Suicide
did,
Squad movie was fine. Yeah, it was
yeah,
an okay movie.
right,
But
and there's nothing wrong with it, but that was then, and we're supposed to have a new This Is Now.
well, the thing is, it's
And
not even like that stuff is recent. Peacemaker's 3 or 4 years ago. The Suicide Squad movie's 3 or 4 years ago. And the whole thing that's hard for me is, okay, so we're keeping John Cena, but we had to get rid of Gal Gadot. Like, in what world was it more important for us to maintain that continuity than was for to keep Wonder Woman or Henry Cavill or Jason Momoa or any? And again, I don't care if you guys hated the DCU stuff. I agree. DCEU needed to be buried. It was dead. It wasn't making any money, but why keep any of it? That's the part that's just so convenient. And so as I watch the trailer, when I know they're keeping stuff, it's like you could have just made this movie with Henry Cavill, and I think all of us would have been okay with it. But we'll see. I will say I am optimistic. I want it to be good. I liked a lot of the stuff. There's just some little James Gunnisms, and again, I think he's great at Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one of the most surprising and fantastic comic book movies that's come out in the past 20 years. I just don't know if any of that blends with Superman. Let us know what you guys think below. What'd you think of the trailer? I think we're both optimistic. I wouldn't say it's a bad trailer. There's all these little things around DC that always seem to bog them down, and I worry that's going to weight this one down as well. Let us know what you guys think. Before we go, we're going to go through what is in our stack for the week. Mike, I'll kick it to you, sir. What do you got in the stack this week, sir?
I got a short stack of pancakes. No, comics. um,
Still working your way through the facsimiles, I see.
I do. This came out at your local comic shop. The Holiday Tales to Astonish. Love it. Oh, can't forget
The
about
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 12. And it even has a Christmassy cover, perfect for stocking stuffers, parents. Put them in your kids' stockings. And of course, more
Facsimile goodness there, Spider-Man. There you go.
facsimile sweetness.
Nice. Yeah, like you, Ultimate Spider-Man 12. I checked that out. Really enjoyed this. Great twist ending, I thought. I've loved this comic book. We're gonna do our top comics of the year. This will absolutely be on it. I think this
That's
series
going to
has
make the
just been
list.
really, really fun throughout. Um, Other series that started this week, New Gods, the Jack Kirby creation, obviously. Not the greatest first issue, but the cliffhanger that this leaves and the overall setup they do with Mr. Miracle and Orion and the plot they're going to do. Really interesting. And I think one of the things is DC All In needed to find some of these fresh jumping on points. I think if you have any interest in these characters or just want a DC book you can get on the jumping on floor, this does a good job with that. I think that's really cool. Was excited to see that. Best comic book of the week for me was this Green Lantern, Green Arrow special. Jeremy Adams, man, the guy just writes characters well. This is from the World's Finest kind of thing, so where they're just revisiting timelines in the past. So this is that hard traveling heroes era of Green Lantern and Green Arrow. Good adventure featuring them and Deathstroke. Really great characterization. Makes me want Jeremy Adams to be the main writer on Green Arrow after reading this. And then in the back, there's also a nice little team up with Barry Allen himself, the Flash, which was really cool. I love when DC does stuff like this and just gives us issues with these characters. Thought that was really cool. The other one that I kind of caved into because I've sort of avoided the Energon universe thing that's come out. I know that's been huge. I know people have been buying it. I just don't give a rip about Transformers, really. It's just never been my thing. I know there was some G.I. Joe series and I picked those up and they were pretty good. But when they put the Transformers in, it's not a big thing for me. And again, nothing against Transformers fans. If that's your thing, great for you. But they did do a G.I. Joe comic book and I saw Josh Williamson was on it. They reprinted one. I thought, you know what, let me pick it up. And two was out, and they put Duke on the cover. It's a fantastic comic book. I'll be picking this up going forward. Really cool to see G.I. Joe. It does have some mix of Energon with the Transformers and stuff, but really, really good comic. Good action scenes, good dynamics, good dialogue. Everything was really cool with it. So I got to give them credit there. That's good. I've avoided the Energon universe just because I haven't liked some of the properties. I will be in for G.I. Joe, though. That's a really good series. Last one that came out, we'll highlight this, and it kind of ties into something we're going to talk about later this week, but I think Marvel's doing something really smart lately, and I wanted to commend them on that. Every month I've seen this last 6 months, they're doing these Marvel must-haves. This is a free thing that is in the stores. It reprints 3 comic books. So in this particular one, they have Hulk #3, which is like the Red Hulk era. You've got Ghost Spider, and then you've got Daredevil 227, a classic Daredevil issue. All of it's in here. It's pre-printed, kind of not facsimile style, but you get a normal comic book thing, and it is absolutely free when you go into the store. I think it's really cool. Great job by Marvel. If you get this, you can go to the store. I gave one to my kids. They're both reading them. They both enjoyed some of it. It's really cool, and I think a great way to kind of get some people in reading comic books where, hey, we'll give you 3 free comics, and maybe one of them will grab you. They put advertisements for all the trades that these books are in as well. But again, I think anything you're doing to try to get more comic book fans in is smart, and I like that a lot. We'll tie that in with this guy right here, Red Hulk. We're going to do a video Wednesday talking about Red Hulk, talking about Hulk overall. All these proliferation of other Hulk characters and whether we think that's watered down the brand. So we'll see that on the channel this week. As always, folks, let us know what you guys think. What is in your stack for the week? What are you reading? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a peaceful, blessed, and happy holidays. Merry Christmas, folks. We'll catch you guys in our next video.
Thanks, everybody.